July 19th, 2018. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 159 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
All right, well, welcome back, Mike. You got back from Vegas. Sounds like it wasn't that eventful in a trip.
No,
but
it was not anything like outstanding.
Yeah, well, give us some highlights, I guess, then.
All right, well, the real reason I was there was for this slot tournament.
And this was invitation only, right?
Invitation only 16 entrants in a slot tournament. $50,000 free play was first prize.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow, when you think of all the other slot tournaments, well, I haven't been in that many, you haven't been in that many, but it's always, it's a lot of people. Yeah, right.
No, this was just 16 people.
Wow.
And it was like a head-to-head competition.
Oh.
So when you registered on Saturday morning,
Mm-hmm.
they just gave you a time. You randomly picked out of a fishbowl a time.
Right.
And that time, another person got that same time, and that's who you played against.
Okay, so it was just heads. Oh, see, now I didn't even know that.
So
okay, that's a lot of it different. Lot different from tournaments
from a
we're
regular
used to.
tournament.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're playing heads up against another person.
Okay.
On a slot machine right across from each other.
Yeah.
And then the winner advances.
Okay, it makes sense.
And
Just
so-
like a bracket in a tournament.
Like a bracket
right?
in a tournament, exactly. And
Yeah.
then they get down to the final two and they play, and the winner got $50,000.
Yeah.
Now, here's some highlights of the tournament.
Okay.
There were two matches ahead of me, and then there was my match.
Okay.
I was up against a woman who, very nice lady. Everyone was cordial, of course.
Good.
The funny thing is, usually in the tournaments I played before, you push for like 3 minutes or something, because you're pushing that thing as fast as you can,
Yep.
which actually I think doesn't matter. I think the reels go no matter what.
Well, I'll kind of agree with you. You really shouldn't be there just pushing as far.
Yeah.
You should just wait until that third reel is almost done, and then start to push.
pushing,
Because
right.
most of the time you're pressing, and the
doing
wheels
nothing.
are going.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
So you
doing
can save
nothing.
your arm by timing it a little bit better.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But this one was 10 minutes.
Wow, 10 minutes. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
So, you're pressing that thing and your arm's starting to hurt. It's like, oh my God, I'm switching hands. And
Now, was it just pressing the button for spins?
Yeah.
So there wasn't anything you had to touch on, like a touch screen or anything?
No,
Okay.
there was no touch screen, nothing like that. It was just
Okay.
pressing the button for spins.
Was it video or reels?
Reels?
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And there was a jackpot on the reels. Like if you got 3, Harrah symbols, you got the jackpot, right?
Yeah.
So I, shortly into, maybe like a minute into it, hit the jackpot.
Okay, all right.
And I jumped out to a big lead. They had a guy who was kind of like the announcer, and he was going back and forth. Oh, Mike takes the lead.
Okay,
he just
yeah.
hit a jackpot.
Yeah.
He was calling out the scores and,
Yeah.
making funny comments and
Right,
stuff.
sure.
So I was really happy. And then with about 8 minutes into it, I still had the lead by almost a jackpot, right? Not quite the jackpot, but close to a
Okay,
jackpot. And then in the last minute, she hits a jackpot.
And takes the lead.
And then ended up edging me out.
Okay.
So I didn't advance. And there was a drawing at the end after the final 2 people played and when the first place was determined. The other 15 people, including the person who won second,
who didn't get
got
anything,
nothing,
right? Yeah, okay,
who got
right. It was,
nothing. We went into a drawing. They picked 2 names out. It was 2 guys, and they played head to head. And the winner of that match got $10,000 free play.
Wow.
And the loser got nothing.
Sure, right.
So if people are like, oh, I'd hate to finish second. You get to the final match and you get nothing.
Yeah.
Well, turns out the final match was the lady who beat me
Oh, okay.
and her husband.
Really?
Yes.
Oh
playing
my
each other.
gosh.
And you should have seen him. She was still going at it pretty hard. The husband, he had his foot up on the machine and he was kind of hitting the button.
It's like they don't care who wins, right?
No. And the announcer guy, it was so anticlimactic. It
Yeah.
was ridiculous. The announcer guy's like, well, I guess, whoever wins is sharing with you. I mean, they're husband and
Wow.
wife.
And this was invitation only.
Right.
For big players. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
A
Well,
husband and wife to both get invited
Yes.
to something exclusive like that.
Yeah.
They must be serious gamblers.
They're slot players and they're serious. Oh, yeah. Before the tournament, so all the people are in there. And I'm a craps player.
Sure.
There was another guy who was a craps player because I played craps with him the whole week, and he actually tipped my mother on one roll. She had a good roll,
nice.
and he threw a $100 tip.
Nice.
He was a heavy gambler.
Okay.
but he was in the slot tournament. I think everyone else pretty much was slot players.
Okay.
Okay. And they were all in there during the registration, which was at 10 a.m. and the tournament started at 11. So everyone was there at 10, getting registered. And then they just stayed it was in the high limit room. They just stayed in there and played.
Okay.
And the guy the husband and wife, I was sitting right next to the guy. I was playing a machine, putting in like $15 a pool.
Okay.
He was putting in $100 pools on some machine and won like $30,000, got some jackpot or something.
Okay, yeah.
And they had to come over and hand pay him and write him a, thing.
Well, gosh, if he's playing $100, he's going to get a lot of hand pays if he's playing $100 a spin. Yeah.
Speaking of hand pays, I've got a good hand pay story a little later. I'll tell you. A little
later?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you in a few minutes.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's how the tournament went. I didn't get picked for the thing. My host was there, and she was like, "Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I'm like, well, I was actually okay with it because I'm just going to go back and play some crap.
It's still a great free chance to win $50,000 or $10,000.
One chance in 16 of winning, $50,000. And then after that, one chance in 15 of winning $10,000. So I'm okay with that.
Okay, good.
And it was fun. It was kind of fun. They had a big old food spread, and stuff, and they treat you really nice.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that went okay. As far as the craps that I played during the weekend, it was a tale of two cities.
Okay.
I mean, Friday, I could not lose.
I remember you texting me.
Hit so many all tall, all smalls.
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy. I think the final count was 6 where I got either the tall or the small, and 3 alls.
3 alls. Wow, just in one night.
Day.
Wow.
Yeah. It was crazy. And I was up so much. Saturday was the exact opposite. There were a couple of halves, and that was it. And the rest of it was bad rolls. Yeah. So the trip didn't go bad.
Okay.
I still ended up good, but it was just disappointing to be up so much and then just come home with a little ahead. Yeah. So, what the heck.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I said before, my father and mother and brother were with me. And we went to Planet Hollywood on Saturday night. And my mom and I were playing craps. And I had a great roll, hit a bunch of repeaters, and jumped up about $2,000 ahead. I bought in for $2,000. I jumped up $2,000. I was very excited. I think, oh, good. finally a little bit of luck on Saturday. And then it got cold, ended up leaving the table down $1,500. And I was like, God, I just could not believe it. So my dad and brother were playing a slot machine. I went back. My mom and I went back to them. We were sitting. So all 4 of us line up it was this circular thing of slot machines. And I don't know what it was. I don't even know what I was playing. It's one of these ones with buffaloes. And
it's buffalo. That's the big one.
But there were 4 of them on one screen. So there was buffalo and something else, some princess thing.
Okay, all right.
Anyway.
You were playing the princess thing then?
Yeah, I was playing 4 different games.
Oh, you're playing all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
And I'm playing the max, which is $7 a pull. It's a penny machine, but I'm playing $7 a pull.
The penny machine.
Yeah. So I put $100 in. And I, getting down, I was down to about I had about $50 left. I had about half my money left. And I turned to my brother and I said, well, does this do anything? Do I get any bonus? Is there any way to get, how sometimes you get free games? And
yeah, sure. Free time.
And my brother's like, yeah, you just haven't got one yet. Very next push, I got some mega free game. I ended up with 68 free games.
Okay.
And, every one was paying off like crazy. And my brother's all excited. My dad's freaking out. And turns out at the end of that, it paid me $1,716.
Okay.
$1,716.
Okay.
So they had to hand pay me, and I got a W-2G.
Oh, you didn't tell me this before.
No, I didn't tell you this.
Okay.
I was waiting for this. So I got a W-2G, and I got a hand pay, and damn it if it didn't offset my $1,500 loss at the crest. I was laughing. And then I colored up. I didn't play anymore after that. I was done.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm getting out of here $200 ahead thanks to stupid slot machine.
Good for you.
I had no clue what I was winning.
Sure, yeah.
And my brother's trying to explain it to me because he understands it all. Oh, you got this here and this here and that here. And if you just got this here, you would have won the super grand jackpot, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I am so up for slots for my life.
Oh boy, you sure are, my friend. Absolutely. You play it so rarely, and you've got so many big stories. Yeah, you should start. Yeah.
Anyway, that was my slot highlight. Okay. The rest of the trip went pretty good. Our friend Ryan, who...
for Ryan and Becky?
Ryan and Becky. Ryan was there without Becky.
Oh, okay.
He was there with his brothers.
Oh.
So he comes up to me at Harrah's and hey, Ryan, Ryan. I wasn't expecting him, right? I
yeah.
just like all of a sudden there's Ryan.
Yeah.
And we're talking and I said, where's Becky? He said, oh, she's not here. I'm with my brothers. I said, well, where are your brothers? Because it was just him. Yeah. He said, oh, they're next door eating some White Castles. And he said, he looks at me and he said, yeah, I told them. I said, well, don't you want to meet Dr. Mike? And their answer was, do we have to? That was so funny.
No, you don't have to.
They were his younger brothers.
Okay.
It's like, oh, we don't want to meet that old guy. So anyway, and then there were 5 guys from New York City who stopped by. Turns out one of them works at NYU, which is where my nephew goes to school at. He's wasn't a teacher, but he was something in administration.
And they were all listeners to the show?
They were all listeners to the show. Yeah, they were super nice.
Oh, nice.
I apologize for not remembering names, but they were super nice. They played. Unfortunately, when they were playing, the table was not going so well. Had they been there, that was on Saturday. Had they been there on Friday,
yeah, sure,
they would have, we would have cleaned up.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were super nice, and it's nice to see them.
Yeah. Okay.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. There weren't that many other highlights. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, I didn't get
crazy.
too many messages from you other than saying, oh, doing well, oh, doing poorly. So,
Friday was like so great, and then Saturday was the exact opposite. And I didn't play Sunday. We got up Sunday morning.
Yeah, and just came
I
back.
played some free play that my dad had for him, and then we just drove back.
And
home.
you came back, so you were on the road. So you missed the World Cup final.
I was listening.
Okay, you were listening. You missed the World Series of Poker.
I was watching a lot of that at they had it on at Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, sure.
And most of the casinos had it on. I was amazed. Were they taking a long time to make decisions?
No, it wasn't. A few years back, it was really bad.
Yeah.
This year, it wasn't too bad, although I'll admit, when I was watching it, I recorded it and watched it at like double speed, because you can follow what's going on, right? Because everything's on the display there. And I would, I'd go back to normal speed when something exciting was going to happen. But
it seemed to me, because I'm playing craps too, so maybe that had something to do with it. I kept looking up, like, they're still on that hand?
It's semi-live, so it's not like they edit it down. So you do have to sit through all that. But I finally went to bed and then watched the next morning because I recorded. It was just getting too late. I think it finished at like 5:20 a.m. Local time, which actually was great for East Coasters because they could wake up at say 7:30 and tune in, and it's still going on. Yeah,
right. Yeah, but it looked like a good tournament.
It was very good. Yeah, it was good. It was entertaining.
Yeah,
and
they had it on all the channels there.
Yeah,
and I
I'm
was
sure.
watching it. Yeah. I was playing craps and watching. And the dealers were turning around and it's like,
to see.
Gosh,
they want to see the hands and
see
everything.
what the hands are.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of a nutshell. I don't think there was anything really super exciting.
All right. Well, while you were in Vegas, I went up to Harrah, Southern California, not to play because, I don't know, I don't really like going up by myself and playing. It's more fun to go with you. But I did have some free play on Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
So we've done this before.
You want to go up there real late.
Go up real late on Saturday. Got there at about 11:30 so I could cash in my Saturday coupon, and then at midnight I could cash in my Sunday coupon. Right. So I get up there real late. I do arrive about 11:30, and I walk in, and there is just a mob scene at the cashier. And it's like, oh my gosh, why are so many people in line at the cashier? What's going on?
Right.
Come to find out that none of the machines were accepting tickets. The ticket that you get out from the slot machine.
Right.
You could not then take that ticket to another machine and put it in.
Okay.
The slot machines were taking it, and the automatic cash out machines were not taking them.
Wow. So nobody could get any more money.
Nobody could get money. They'd have to go up to the cashier. So it was it was terrible. It was a madhouse. Unfortunately, it wasn't terribly well organized, and you can understand that. I felt sorry for the employees, right?
They're not expecting it, and they're overwhelmed.
But what happened now, kind of how the cashier works here at Harrah, Southern California. I'll try to describe it, but basically there are 3 different lines. There's one for gold and platinum, the lowest tiers.
Right.
There's a separate one for diamond.
Probably the most people are diamonds.
Maybe. I don't know.
At that place.
When I got up there, the gold and platinum line was about the same as the diamond line. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a separate line for 7 stars. And when it's not busy, typically what happens is when a cashier opens up, they see if somebody's in the 7-star line and they say, 7 stars next,
right.
and then if nobody's in the 7 stars line, they look at the diamond line, and if nobody's there, then they take it from the gold and platinum. Well, again, I texted you, there were about 30 people in line when I went up there. And I found out later they had a separate line, like around the corner, for people who only were going to cash out vouchers. But that line was huge. So, but anyway, so I'm in line. I'm in the 7 Stars line. And 2 cashiers are dedicated to each of the lines, right?
Okay.
And it just so happens that for whatever reason, I guess this isn't that uncommon, the 2 cashiers that were dedicated to 7 Stars had people at them that were doing long transactions.
Right.
I don't know, paying off markers or getting cash advances. I don't know what.
Usually 7 Stars, they're paying off markers or getting cash advances. Those things take a while.
Yeah. Right. So the gold and platinum line is moving like crazy.
Right.
The diamond line is moving like crazy. And the 7 Stars line is not moving at all. Right. And so,
it serves those 7-star people right.
I'm getting a little annoyed, but at the same time, I'm thinking, I understand, right? This is a terrible situation. But some of the other 7 Stars just started flipping out. And one guy in particular went running up to the cashier and started cussing them all out. And, because another person would go out of the gold and platinum line, and another. Oh my gosh, he just lost it.
He was used to the normal routine where after they serve somebody, they tell, okay, 7-star, come on, So it's usually the gold and diamond people getting pissed off.
Well, see, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because, this was an extreme example.
Right.
But I have never seen a cashier's line or line at some of the other places that are really good at handling the different tier levels.
Right.
You either have a situation like I was in the other night where, nobody's coming out of the 7 Stars, or you've got this poor guy who's the lowest tier. He's at the front of the line in his line.
And never gets
called because a bunch of 7 Stars and diamonds keep coming up and, going in front. Now, there are some casinos that have the 7 Stars windows kind of off to the side. And that is nice, but same kind of problem. You could be behind somebody who's just making a big transaction. You look over back to the regular cashier, and meanwhile, people are going like crazy. This has even happened on check-ins, Mike.
Right.
When I've been in the diamond check-in, and I can see the regular check-in, over in the corner, I'm thinking, oh my gosh,
it's going way faster.
It's going way faster
too.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I have a solution, and again, I'm not saying I'm frustrated as a 7 Star because I know, hey, if you're just, the lowest tier, I'd be frustrated too when you see these people keep getting helped ahead of you. And it can happen in buffet lines too, where it's like, oh my gosh, the 7 Stars people keep coming, and here I am in the regular line. I'm never going to get
seated.
So they need to do something.
I'll tell you what the solution is.
Yeah.
You have 1 cashier for every 100 patrons in the casino.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that would be good. Or just, hey, to just have somebody, just roaming around. Do you need some cashier?
We're expecting 10,000 tonight.
Do you need a cashier? Do you need something? Do you need help? Do you need to cash something out? Just walking around.
They could have people walking around cashing out tickets.
That's
why they have those machines.
They could, but that's the thing. They've got the machines. So why pay people, a wage when you've just got these machines? And the machines usually are working, right?
I'll tell you why you don't have the machines. Technology sucks. Okay? It sucks so bad. Technology is great when it works. And when it doesn't work, it is the worst. It is the absolute worst.
You may be the first person who's ever come up with this.
Yeah, maybe. I'll tell you, it just drives me crazy.
I know,
if technology always worked, the world would be perfect.
Well, I'll say this, at least the slot machines were generating tickets.
Yeah. Oh, that was
actually working because
the Russians forgot to screw that up. They screwed up the payout.
They would almost have to close the place down. How could you cash out? So those were working.
You'd have to sit by your machine until it worked. Now I've got $300 in this machine. I'm not leaving.
What happened as a result, since they were being printed you go up to the cashier. There was nothing for them to scan because the computers were down, at least that side. So they just look at the total, and give it to you.
Correct, which it probably is.
Probably, right? But
too bad we didn't print up a bunch of
tickets. I wonder if they had any problems with counterfeiting afterwards, if they found any.
I don't know. It depends on how long it went.
That's the thing, right?
If it started at like 5 p.m. and it was still going at 11:30, somebody could have went, let's just print up some tickets.
That's true.
If you had some. I don't know how you do that quickly, but
Anyway, that's what the fun that I had while you were gone. So.
It sounds like a nice time.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm sure you had a nice ride home. And
it was fine. I didn't have to wait that long. It really, honestly, once finally the two cashiers at 7 Stars cleared. Oh, I did feel bad. There was a guy in front of me who wasn't 7 Stars.
Oh God! And he waited all that time.
He waited and then went up to the window. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is only for 7 Stars."
Get in line.
Oh my God.
That happens a lot.
It does happen a lot
because people don't read the signs.
And the signage is not that great either.
No, it's not good. Yeah. I'll admit that. Yeah. But they get in a line because it looks shorter. He probably, this line's short.
Right. No, this is the slow line, sir. Yeah, it's shorter, but it's the slow line. And you don't qualify, go to the back of the other line.
I'll tell you what, though, it's a good thing that most people are pretty patient. Because when something like that happens, I mean, the poor people working. I feel terrible. I know there's going to be one, guy that's got the big A on top of his house that's gonna, complain and bitch and moan and everything. But you shouldn't really.
He was out of line. It was. I mean,
what are the employees going to do? Right? They're going to get yelled at by somebody.
That's right. Well, if you've been watching the news, Mike, you probably saw where Charles Oakley, NBA All-Star Charles Oakley, was arrested at the Cosmopolitan for pulling back a $100 chip from a bet that had been resolved that he saw he was going to lose, but they had not collected yet.
Evidently, Charles Oakley did not invest his money well. The guy played, 19 years in the NBA?
I know. Yeah,
19 years in the NBA.
He had a long career, I know.
You played 19 years as a professional basketball player? I think you've made some money.
Oh, my God. Well, and maybe he does have, he's betting $100 chips, but I'll tell you, that is a big, big mistake because cheating at a casino in Las Vegas.
Yeah, they don't care who you are.
I want to say I read where he's up for 6 years in prison if found guilty, something like that. Wow. Yeah, that's, I think if I remember.
I bet you that doesn't happen.
Maybe not. And when the reports first came out, they did not say what game it was on. I subsequently heard that it was blackjack, but I couldn't really verify it. So maybe it was a blackjack hand with, maybe a full table.
Right.
And, the dealer hit to 21 or something.
He just reached out.
He's at third base or something. Yeah, and just took some back. I don't know, but they caught him. So
that's so funny. But what is Charles Oakley's problem?
Yeah, well, I think he's got other issues too.
Yeah. Oh, you think?
Anyway, don't cheat at the casino, folks. Do not cheat.
It's not really the place to.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, try and get away with something. Right. Unless you can get away with it, then
Yeah, then go ahead.
I
think we've made our point.
Yeah.
All right. We got an email from Chuck a little while ago. Let me read it to you. Can you talk about a general rule of thumb of what constitutes a high or medium roller when it comes to asking for and getting comps at different casinos? I'm assuming it's a combination of table limit, game played, and length of time. I know the basic answer is it depends, but a target to shoot for would be nice to know. Thanks for any feedback you can provide, Chuck. Yeah, it depends.
It depends. You know what it is? It depends on what you're asking for, too. Mm-hmm. If you're asking for you and your wife to go to the buffet, you don't have to play very much.
Typically not. Now, it's going to depend on the casino. If you're
in the
Wynn, if you're Bellagio,
well,
okay, you may not get a free buffet at a place like that.
Yeah, and it depends on the mood of the pit boss. And there's so many factors. But if you're asking for like room comps or something, you're going to have to put in some play.
Here's what I would say. First, I would say that Total Rewards, now that's Caesars Entertainment, Total Rewards is pretty good at giving you room offers from the get-go. You sign up, you play some, especially if you concentrate your play. Now I'm talking about two different things here, but that would be one thing, is concentrate your play at a single property.
Right.
That's a way to get their attention.
Right.
And especially if it's one of the lower Caesars properties, say like the Link, something like that, or Harrah's, or maybe even Bally's.
Right.
Spend the whole day there playing, and you'll probably get some offers right away.
Yeah, you don't. They're all owned by the same company, but if you move around, it does not help you.
Yeah, if you it would not. Certainly, playing at Caesars, would not be as good as playing, say, Rio.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Also, the guys on Vegas Confessions have been talking about how the Plaza downtown, you don't have to put much money out there. You'll start getting a lot of offers from them.
Right.
So it's going to depend on the property as well, too. Play at kind of these lower tier properties.
Right.
You're going to see some. And that could be even $5 a play as long as you're playing for, say, 8 hours.
Right.
At a blackjack table.
4 hours or something.
Something like that.
I get so much stuff from downtown Grand. It's amazing.
That's true too. Yeah.
And
Downtown is another one.
Do you still get a lot from Golden Nugget?
A ton.
I get a ton from Golden Nugget.
Yeah.
And, I haven't played that much there in the last couple of years. Now, years ago, I played a lot there.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I haven't played that much at Golden Nugget. I get so much stuff. Yeah. I mean, I'm not joking. I get something at least 4 out of every 7 days of the week.
Yeah.
From Golden Nugget.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Lynn's always like, well, here's your Golden Nugget stuff.
Right. And I can't remember the last time. I certainly am not giving them a lot of play.
No.
Last time we were there, maybe back last October. Oh. And I was not playing a lot at all.
No,
so
I
really
didn't play that much. Maybe an hour, hour and a half of play, you know.
So anyway, Chuck, I know, we're being, again, it depends, but find a lower tier property. Play, say maybe at least $10,
right.
At a blackjack table. Or if you're at a craps table, maybe $10 there too, table. Right? $10, just, 12 on the 6 and 8. Play for a while.
It's the time.
That's the other thing.
Really is.
And if you concentrate on one place,
if you're
then
at
you
one
may get some
property
offers.
and you spend a lot of time playing there,
because
you will get offers.
It's all about we've talked about it before, ADT, your average daily theoretical.
Right.
So if you're playing for a long time, decent limits, maybe not the minimum, maybe not $5, like I said before, but $10.
Right. A little above the, I think if I had to prioritize, whether it's the amount you play or the time you play or the property, I think the most important thing is the time. Because a casino is looking at the fact that you're willing to gamble for 4 hours or 6 hours.
Right.
You're not the guy that comes up, plays for a half hour, and then goes out to the pool and maybe comes back at night and gambles for an hour, and that's it.
I'll agree with you with the time, especially, again, if it's concentrated.
Right.
If it's all in one day.
If it's all in one place, They look at that and they think, okay, this guy's a gambler. We send him offers, we give him comps, he's going to come and spend some money.
Yeah. So.
And maybe he gets lucky and then he goes a little wild and spends more money.
Sure,
right?
if you're willing to do that. But again, never play just to get comps.
No, it's not
get
worth
the comps because you're going to play anyway.
Right.
But that's good advice. Concentrate your play at one place. Go for the lower tier places. Again, total rewards, you're probably going to get room offers pretty quickly.
Right.
He didn't mention, Vegas versus other places, but if you're talking about Vegas, downtown, you're going to get a much better value, downtown
and
too.
there's plenty of places downtown that you get pretty good value.
Yep. So hopefully that answers your question, at least a little bit, Chuck. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to our voicemail hotline. Remember, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up is Daniel.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Daniel from Louisville, Kentucky. I was calling with a poker question. Yesterday, I came up and played a 1-2 no-limit cash game at Horseshoe Southern Indiana. And I'm not super experienced with playing poker. I've played a few times at some other casinos. My friends and I have a bi-weekly game going. But all in all, I've been playing probably less than a year. And last night was the first time where I sat down at a table and really felt like I was able to read the other players play and really make moves based on that were working. And I started feeling really confident and was doing very well. My question is that at one point I was up almost 3 times my buy-in, which was awesome. But then I decided that was enough. And so I decided to cash out and take my winnings. But the thing that I was struggling with was as soon as I walked away from the table, I started thinking, like, if I was as confident as I was feeling and being able to read those other players well, why didn't I just stay and keep trying to take more of their money? And I know that the cards can turn and all that, but I was just curious, in a situation like that, what would you guys do? Do you think it was wise to say, hey, I made a good amount of money here and walk away? Or if you felt confident enough that you could keep taking their money or that you actually had an advantage on them, would you have stayed? Just curious. I feel like today I'm somewhat kicking myself for having left. But yeah, just curious what your guys' thoughts were on that. Thank you.
He should not be kicking himself. He should be patting himself on the back.
Exactly.
He did the exact right thing.
Yep.
Because it's poker. It's
right.
a gambling game. Mm-hmm. Things change. His luck could have turned.
Yeah, and the thing is, when it comes to poker, even if you have any kind of edge, it is a small edge.
Very small
now,
edge.
Daniel, you did very well there. Some of it was probably the cards you were getting. right? If he tripled his bankroll,
he was getting
some of
cards.
you were also getting cards and winning some pots. So the edge that you did better than the edge would dictate,
right?
Especially if you're saying that you're relatively new to poker. Now, maybe you were reading these guys pretty well, and it was easy to figure it out.
Problem is even when you're reading somebody and you've got a pretty good read on them, if you don't get cards, you don't get cards.
That's right. And
the other guy can be playing like a doofus, but if you don't get cards, there's nothing you can do about that.
Plus, if you get overconfident, you think, oh, man, I can win with any 2 cards now.
Yeah.
Right? All I have to do is outplay him.
Right.
Well, in the short run, get the cards that you get, that's a big part of it, right? So, no, you absolutely did the right thing, Chuck. Now, you will hear poker pros say that, oh, if you're in a juicy game, and you're fine, you're not drunk, you're not tired, go ahead and keep playing. Hey, but we're not pros. We're recreational players. Right. And we've mentioned this before, not about poker, but just about any kind of gambling. Appreciate the win.
Right.
You walk away and think, hey, I won. You don't think, oh, I could have won more, because you'll just beat yourself up. You could always say that. When you walk away a winner.
And you could have lost it all.
Yeah, right.
You could end up on the slot machine.
Right, and then you're hoping to win it all back and get a hand pay. No, appreciate the win. Anytime you can walk away, just appreciate the glow of that win.
Exactly my story from earlier. I'll tell you what, when I was up a couple thousand so quick, and then when I ended up losing 1,500, as we were leaving and walking to find my dad and brother, I was kicking myself so hard. I was so pissed at myself. I was thinking, why didn't I just leave? I mean, the thing is, it came so quick. Right after we got there, we would have been there 5 minutes. I had doubled my money. I should have just left. And instead, I stayed until it was gone. And my mother, she was playing with my money. So, I gave her $100. She had at one point like 400. And then she ended up leaving with like $40.
Yeah.
So we're both thinking, why didn't we just leave? And, that is a worse feeling than walking away thinking maybe I should have stayed. Maybe things were going good.
It's way worse.
Way worse.
Yeah. So you did the right thing, Daniel. All right. A previous caller had asked, well, if they've got gambling in the nightclubs there in Las Vegas, could you just go up and say, hey, I'm not here to go into the club, really. I just want to gamble. I just want to play at the craps table.
Right.
And we were wondering, there is kind of this Nevada law that gambling has to be open to the public. And we were wondering. So we have a little more information about this.
Hey, guys. This is Paul from Hemet. I just finished listening to your episode. First-time caller. Really excited. You guys had a question on the whole getting into clubs for free if there's gambling. There's a podcast that I currently listen to. It's called Living Las Vegas. Those guys touched on something similar, more about gambling and pools. And one of the guys on there was saying it's a Nevada law where if there's gambling provided by law, it needs to be open to the public. So they were actually touching on how to get into pools in the area and touching which is where the best pool in Vegas. But that was one thing they touched on, that you can get into the pools for free if there's gambling. All you have to do is tell them, I'm here to go gamble. They'll put a wristband on you and you can go over there. So I'm assuming it would work the same way for nightclubs. They would just put a wristband and you can go over there and enjoy your time. But again, guys, I look forward to hopefully meeting you guys someday down in Harrah, Southern California, or in Vegas. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, when it comes to pools, that kind of thing usually does work. If it's a pool that charges, like $5 to get in or whatever, you say, oh, hey, I'm going to gamble. Okay, go on. Not a day club,
right?
But just like a pool.
Right.
Now, it's not going to be the same with...
Can you just go in with your clothes in the pool?
Well, no, you're into the pool area to gamble. We're not talking about swim up gambling.
Pools, so swim up gambling.
Yeah, now that's a whole different question we're going to have to think of. If it's like a floating,
right.
You can swim up blackjack.
Right?
I guess so. Yeah, I'll go for it if you want to go in with your clothes.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm not taking my shoes off or anything. I'm just going to go gamble.
That's right. I want to get in here free.
What can we do?
All right, but when it comes to the nightclubs, you're probably still going to have to pay. Now, we got this great email from David. I'm just going to read it here. It's my understanding that Nevada Gaming Regulation 5.210 is the relevant exemption to the general public access principle. 5.210 allows casinos to apply for permission from the Gambling Control Board to charge a fee for admission to an area in which gaming is conducted. 5.210 subsection 7A says that the gaming area must be associated with a non-gaming activity, such as a nightclub. So, assuming the casino is relying on 5.210, they are within their right to turn away players if they don't pay the club's admission fee. So there you go.
Okay, so there's a subsection.
There's a statute or something in there that actually says.
you can have that as long as it's not associated with other gambling.
That's right. It's not just a gambling area.
Right,
you couldn't have just a gambling area where, you got to pay to get in. It's got to be something else.
It's got to be something else.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. If that's in the law in Nevada, that's good.
So there you go.
We're never going to have to worry about that in California. But
well, and we're never going to have to worry about going to Vegas and trying to get into the nightclub by saying we're gambling.
Yeah, that's true.
that's a load off.
It's a load off.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear from Julio.
Hey, guys. Julio here from the Bay Area. Just got back from Reno, and I know you guys have been talking a lot about Face Up Paigal. Just a quick report. I went over to the Grand Sierra in Reno, and they had about 3 tables of Face Up Paigal. They're all on the progressive shuffle machine with the number selector that's automatic. But I did find it interesting. There was one table that actually was hand shuffled, and they used the dice to select the number where the hand lands. It was Face Up Paigal. That was the only one like that. The only catch to it was not linked up to the progressive jackpot. So you could still hit the bonuses, you could still do bonuses, but it wasn't linked up to the progressive jackpot. I thought that was, I played that one. I ended up breaking even. Ace high came up twice out of 30 hands that I played. That's a push for everyone, regardless of your hand. But I like that better, the hand shuffle, than the machine and then the random selector, the number selector. So just thought I'd report on that. And then the second thing is I went over to the Atlantis in Reno, and I noticed that their crap tables were a bit longer than the others casinos. I was joking with one of the dealers, and he told me, the owner picked them up at some old casino. I can't remember the name of the casino. And he said, they're about 1.5 feet longer. I just wonder if you guys knew if that makes a difference or not when you're playing craps, the length of the table. I think it got encrypted in my head that the table was longer, and I felt like I was throwing the dice farther down, and I know that's probably had no effect whatsoever. But anyways, great job, guys. Keep up the good work. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yeah, the longer tables don't affect the game in any way. It's still the same.
They're kind of annoying.
It can be. It's a lot harder sometimes to get the dice down there, especially if you're at the very end.
It's crazy how much difference it makes, but immediately you throw those and it's like, wow.
Especially
same thing when they're too short.
Yeah, that's true too.
You're throwing them off.
You're used to a certain table. We've done that, especially when we're in Vegas or any other place where there are a lot of different casinos.
Right.
You switch from one to the other and it's like, whoa.
Right.
You
you go to Vegas, it's like, because we're used to the 4 at Rincon. They're all the same size. You go to these longer or shorter one, it's like, wow, that you notice it right off the bat. It takes a little getting used to.
Now, one thing Julio was talking about, you don't see this very much anymore, but traditionally, Paigal poker is not dealt like you see at most of the casinos now. It used to be the dealer would hand shuffle and then deal out 7 separate hands right in front of him. Right. They would not deal it actually out to the players, but 7 separate hands right in front of him. And then he would take this shaker that had 3 dice in them and shake this and open it up, add up the total, and that total would determine which player gets the first hand.
Which gets, and in the order that the cards are going to be.
It was a way to kind of randomize it, I guess, to prevent cheating, that kind of thing. Nowadays, all they do is they press a button, it shows the number of the position that's going to get the first hand, and then they just take them out of the automatic shuffle machine one at a time. Deals out 7 cards, give it to that, and that way.
What'd you like about the dice? I know exactly the thing I liked best about the dice.
What I liked about the dice, Mike, especially when you were able to be the banker, right, was taking it and slamming it down on the table.
People just take that thing, they shake it, they just slam it down on the table. That was the most favorite thing. Second most favorite thing is when they'd open it and 2 of the dice would be stacked on each other, and everyone would go, "Oh yeah!"
That's right. You'd have to do it again. Oh yeah, that whole tradition was kind of fun.
I mean, there was a real tradition to it, right?
Yeah.
And some guys, sometimes the player, would be banking and they'd pick the dice up and they'd shake it and they'd go through all this random thing,
right?
And then they just slam it down, and then everyone screams.
Now you know me, I didn't like it when the dice were stacked at the end there. It's like, so whenever I shook the dice, I'd slam it down and then I'd give it another shake.
Yeah, a lot of people would give it a little shuffle so they'd fall off. I liked them stacked up because everyone would scream like it was some big miracle. Like, how'd that happen?
So there's no different, ultimately it doesn't affect the game other than it's a little slower than the automatic shuffler and the automatic random number generator.
Dice, I just remembered something from my trip.
Okay.
I didn't tell you this either. Some guy was rolling the dice from the end of the table, rolled them down, they bounced around, popped up, and both die landed on a stack of the dealer's chips. So the chips that the dealer has, right? One landed on one stack of green, the other on a stack of white.
Really? And that's a good roll, right?
No roll. They called no roll.
No roll because it's actually on top of his stacks.
It was on top of the stacks.
Okay. Actually, now that you say it, okay, I don't know that I've ever seen a single die land on a stack.
This was two. The dealers were like, wow, we've never seen that. Yeah, they've seen one pop up there. But two of them popped up and landed and stopped right on the thing.
Right.
And it was a good roll. It would have been like a 9 or something. Yeah. So it wasn't bad for anybody.
All right, good. First time
I've ever saw that. I forgot about that.
Nice. All right, a very popular topic on this show lately has been, how come there's no craps and roulette in Minnesota?
And why is everyone so concerned with Minnesota?
Oh, because it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
All right, well, is this the final answer? Let's see.
All right, I'm going to end the Minnesota craps thing. Here's the reason. Minnesota was the first state to sign state tribal compacts. That's the agreement between the state and a tribe that allows gambling. Those tribal compacts only allow blackjack. Why is not 100% clear to me, but they do. So why don't they change the compacts? The reason is that when Minnesota was the first to do this, as the first mover, they didn't know what they were doing and they didn't negotiate any sort of revenue share. The tribes in Minnesota make tremendous amounts of money through these tribal compacts and have no interest whatsoever in amending them. The state of Minnesota would be happy to amend the compacts to allow for craps, roulette, other games, but the tribes have zero interest. They know that if they amended the compacts, the first thing that the state of Minnesota would ask for would be a revenue share, and they're just not willing to do that. So it all comes down to money, like everything else. Take care. Love the show.
All right. Well, that's another piece of the puzzle there.
Yeah. That sounds very, very plausible.
Definitely makes sense.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Although, part of me still wants to go with the architect story.
Yeah, maybe we should just go back to that. Here's the thing, though. That explains why maybe there won't be craps and roulette in the future.
Right.
But it still doesn't explain why there wasn't craps and roulette to begin with. Even the caller himself said, well, I'm not sure exactly why that happened.
Well, didn't one other caller on the last episode say that it had to do with they were rushing it through and trying to...
Well, let's hear from DJ. He's got a little more information for us, all right?
Okay, this plot is really thickening.
Hey guys, it's BJ from St. Paul, Minnesota, calling see if I can maybe take a few more whacks at that dead horse that is gambling laws here in the state of Minnesota. I actually looked into why the real reason is that craps and roulette are not offered in the state of Minnesota. In fact, with the tribal compacts here, there are two of them. Initially, there was one which just dealt with video games of chance. So that included slots, video poker, video blackjack, etc. That's also why in Minnesota you will not find any real slots, any spinning reels. It's only video. So that is what started out as tribal gaming here in Minnesota. And then eventually one of the tribes in southwestern Minnesota sued to get a compact for blackjack. They had already been running a game that they were calling, I believe, Bingo 21. So they just put a B in front of each of the cards, and if you had B1 and B10, you could yell bingo, and you were paid as if it was blackjack. So eventually, the federal magistrate ruled in favor of the tribe, saying that the state of Minnesota would need to negotiate blackjack compacts with all the tribes. So that's what ultimately happened, and as a result of that, the compromise was that the tribes agreed in return for the state not pursuing any further litigation on it would be that they wouldn't pursue any other games. So they would not be pursuing craps, they wouldn't pursue roulette, they wouldn't pursue sports betting. Now, of course, those are not line items in the compact, so we will see what happens here, I suppose, when the inevitable push for greater sports wagering happens. And I'm sure, well, you're aware, in Minnesota, things like that tend to move rather slowly. So that's the insight that I was able to gather, most of it from a publication by Nonpartisan Minnesota House Research from 2005 titled Minnesota Gaming Short History, I believe is the name of it, instead of a misnomer, since the short history goes, I believe, something like 147 pages. So maybe I can send you the link to that. It might be good information here as far as the history of tribal gaming and the lottery and pari-mutuel horse racing and all that here in Minnesota. So thanks, guys. Great show.
Now, that's some good research.
Yeah, that's good research. I'll tell you what, we can't let this go.
What?
We got to get craps into Minnesota.
Oh, my God. I was about to say, okay, I think that's all we need to discuss about Minnesota and
we're going
craps
to push
roulette.
those Indian casinos until they allow craps.
Oh, my gosh.
If they're what's holding us up, and we need to push that.
All right. Are you going to get behind this? Are you going to spearhead this?
I'm going to start a campaign. I'm going to put a sign out in front of my house.
All right.
Right on the grass.
Your house.
Yeah, right in front
Minnesota,
of You live in a cul-de-sac. Nobody comes in.
That's the problem. It's a cul-de-sac. Nobody's going to see it.
Yeah,
that's your problem.
That's my problem.
Putting a sign about Minnesota gambling on your lawn. Well, thanks, DJ, for all the info. Yeah, I'll post a link to the document that he was talking about in our show notes, so you can go take a look at that if you're interested. All right, next call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Daniel from Northeast Ohio, and just got finished listening to your most recent podcast, and you had mentioned the most luckiest, weirdest thing that you've ever seen, and I thought about calling in about this before, but I decided, no, it really wasn't a story in itself. But I was at the craps table, and there was a girl who, she definitely played before, but was still kind of gingerly playing at it. And then when it would get around to her boyfriend or husband would place a bet and then throw the dice and make these really strange, god-awful sounds, kind of like a chicken or a horse or something. I don't know what it was. But anyway, he walked away after a while, and imagine at his noises, he points 7 out. And she throws down a $25 chip, and she says, $25, 11. And everybody at the table kind of talks her out of it because, well, that's a one more bet, we're looking out for you and all that. And, the dealers kind of were like, it's one roll bet, you can make it, but the chances are it's not great. So she takes it back, and a couple minutes later, she had won a couple of her other bets, just standard bets. Guy was getting ready to shoot, throws the dice, she throws out 2 $25 chips, $50, 11, and it hits. I mean, I have never seen, it was just such a great feeling because you don't ever see that happen. And it was just like, wow, but this time she doubled it up and won, and it was just fun and probably the craziest thing I've ever seen. Keep up the great work, guys. Take care.
Mike, do you remember when we were at Golden Nugget? I think you were at the table with us. Sherry and I were there.
Yeah,
we were at the table.
I remember that trip.
There was a high roller at the other end of the table who was betting on 11, and Sherry was rolling. And I don't know how much he had there, like $50 or $100 out there, and Sherry rolled an 11. It's like, oh, he's, great, thanks. And he looked at her and said, "Can you roll another one?" And Sherry,
I remember this.
Sherry looked at him and just didn't say a word, just nodded her head. And she loves telling this story because she says at the time she didn't even think about it. She wasn't thinking, "Oh yeah, I can." It was like, "Oh yeah, I can." Like she knew she was going to do it, right? Even though that's not the kind of thing that she would normally. Yeah, right. A tingly feeling. Here it comes. All she just said, yeah, and she nodded her head. And sure enough, she rolled another 11. He had pressed it up. So, he tipped her $100 chip.
Nice.
And it was a big thing.
Nice.
So that's what reminded me when I heard that story about the magical 11. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good when, you just do something off the cuff and it hits.
Yeah,
I mean, because so many times it doesn't.
It usually doesn't. All right.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Shannon from North Carolina. Just wanted to give you a trip report on my 4th of July visit to Horseshoe Southern Indiana. I flew in Monday night to Louisville, got a lift to the casino. The hotel was very nice. It's a long walk from the hotel to the casino, but
sure
they've got golf cart shuttle service available, and the shuttle driver is very friendly, and they'll definitely be glad to take you if you don't feel like walking the 3/4 of a mile. Generally speaking, the people there were very friendly, and the customer service was very good. I played 5 sessions of craps, went 1-4. The dice were just ice cold for most of the trip. Finally, on the last night, Wednesday night, I had a good session. I was playing at the one table and bought in for $200 and was about even, and then they went up from $10 to $15 on the table minimum, so I moved to the next table, and I had a great roll, ended up cashing out $280 ahead. By the way, they now have one table with the small, tall, all bet, and the rest of the tables still have the fire bet, at least for now. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case too much longer. As far as the other games I played some blackjack, and it was a roller coaster session. I ended up down $60 and really got kind of mad because the player next to me was playing absolutely terrible basic strategy and was winning while I was playing perfect basic strategy and losing. For example, he split nines against the dealer ace.
Oh my God.
And he doubled down on a 7. And he won all of those hands. Still, though, it was a good table. It was fun. And as far as the slots go, I had heard that the slots were really tight there, and I found that not to be the case. I actually got good play on most of the slots. They have kind of older slots, a lot of older real games and a lot of older aristocrat games. But my biggest win was $240, so I didn't have a lot of huge wins, but I got a lot of really good play, so I was happy about that. And I really liked the casino, and I definitely will be back again. Ended up down for the trip, but still it was fun. It was definitely worth it. Hope you all have a great July and a good summer, and hope to see you again in Vegas soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Another good report from Horseshoe, Indiana.
I'll tell you, Horseshoe Southern Indiana, I really like it there. They're super
what
friendly.
You said,
yeah, very nice. And the atmosphere's fun, kind of, and it didn't feel, I don't know, it just felt good.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we were talking about earlier about getting stuff from casinos. They send me so much stuff. I got one the other day, and it's like this Friday, and I'm like, do they know I live in San Diego? I mean, this Friday they're sending me something on Monday for this Friday. It's some giveaway. It's like some free slot play or something.
Oh, they figure, oh boy, he's a 7 stars. I bet he could get on a jet tonight and come on over.
I could just fly there. I've got wings.
All right. Next up is Kelly.
Hello, guys. It's Kelly from Utah, and I'm going to do this just once to balance out the universe a little bit. I'm going to say, hello, Mark and Dr. Mark.
Yes!
Where I feel better. My question today is, we were at the Cosmopolitan this week, and we saw an occurrence of what we suspect to be a scam, and it's the 4th time that we are aware it has happened. And I was wondering if you guys have ever heard of it and know what in the world the people are hoping to accomplish. What happens is, and it's happened to one person 3 times and another person once. 3 times at the Cosmopolitan, and the other person was over at the Rio. Basically, the people it's happened to, they've been alone, and they're kind of small, unassuming looking people that it's happened to, so I think that's why they are targeted. And someone comes up to them and says, hey, there's this machine over here that's about to pay. You got to play it. And sometimes they'll say, I work here, or my brother works here, or something like that. And they'll try to get the person to go over and play this machine. And the one person that it's happened to 3 times, the person never got very far because they knew that it was a scam, and they just didn't indulge the person. But the one person where it happened over at the Rio actually went with it and said, okay, put some money in the machine and, started to play. And then the person, what we suspect to be the scammer, started leaning in like he wanted to show him how to play and touch the buttons. But the person knew enough to say, hey, back off. I know how to play my own machine. And then the person just walked off. And whenever they know that you're not going to give in to the scam, they disappear pretty quickly. But I was just wondering if you guys know, what is the person trying to get by doing this? We were just kind of baffled. So if you don't know, maybe I can put it out there to your listeners. Maybe someone out there knows. But the Cosmopolitan needs to get on it, because it was the same person twice that actually was running the scam. So I think they're a familiar face in the casino. Anyway, thanks so much, and I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, this is an old scam that it apparently is still going on in casinos. Like Kelly said, the con artist will find a mark and go up to them and say, oh, hey, my brother works here. He works in the slots. he knows what's going on behind the scenes, or he's, maybe he's manipulated a slot.
Right.
This slot over here is going to pay. Come over, I'll show you. And so the mark goes over and, starts playing. And all the scam is if the player does end up winning some kind of significant jackpot,
they ask for
just through luck. They ask for like a tip or something. I told you. How about giving me $50 or $100? And if they don't hit anything, oh well. The car owner just leaves.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
This is so interesting that she called. This happened to my brother this weekend.
Really?
At Planet Hollywood.
Really?
Yes. Christopher was sitting at a machine. Guy walks up, sits next to him, and says, hey, this machine next to him is going to pay. Give me $100 and I'll split it with you 80-20. You take 80, I'll take 20.
A similar thing, yeah.
And my brother said, no. And he said the guy looked kind of seedy, and my brother was really offended. And my brother's 6'2" and pretty big. Yeah, he's not unassuming guy.
Yeah, that's...
And, and this guy just... He probably looked like a nice person. My brother probably looked like a nice person.
That could be. They're thinking, oh, he's maybe
nice,
he's gullible, or I don't know
right.
what. Yeah.
Well, he's a highly paid executive. He's not gullible. And so he just told the guy to take a hike.
Yeah.
The guy got kind of offended and gave him some attitude. And then my brother just cashed out his machine and left.
Yeah.
But that happened to my brother this weekend. And I call them hanger-oners.
Yeah.
He's just hanging around. And, if he gives him 100 and he loses, oh, well, too bad.
Yeah, we tried.
But but if he happens to hit something, then he gets some money. Now, a kid, I'd say probably early 20s, hung around me at the craps table at Planet Hollywood and was chatting me up. And he kept looking at his phone saying, well, I'm waiting for my buddy. He's supposed to be meeting me here. He's bringing some money and we're going to play some craps. And meanwhile, I'm just supposed to meet him right here. I'm just waiting here. And he kept talking. He was very friendly and a very nice guy. But I know what he was waiting for. He's waiting for me to say, well, here,
since you're waiting, why don't you start playing? Here
start
you go.
Playing, or, here's some money. Let's see if you can roll. And he would be saying stuff like, oh, I know, I got a technique, I set the dice this way and I do this. And he's just waiting for me to give him a few bucks.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, killing time, probably enjoys doing it. He didn't look homeless or anything. He actually looked like a pretty nice kid.
It might be his job.
But it's probably his job.
And
right?
the casinos do need to start looking for this kind of thing. But also, it's going to help the casino if you report these people too. Just say, hey, security, this guy, see that guy over there, he's going around.
Well, remember the guy that hung around me the whole time we were at Planet Hollywood?
Yes, I was with you.
He's running the same scam, right?
Yep.
And things are going good. You look like a nice guy. Okay.
He's your friend all of a sudden.
All of a sudden he's your buddy. Like, oh, I brought you good luck. He even said to me, oh, I brought you good luck.
Yeah, I brought you good luck.
Give me $20. I need to play poker.
Yeah.
Like,
all right, so there you go, Kelly.
Yeah, it's not that unusual.
Yeah. All right, next up is Brad.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Brad from the Piney Woods of East Texas. I just got back from a trip to Shreveport, Louisiana, and played craps for the very first time, and I swear it is probably the most fun I've ever had at a casino. I played at Sam's Town, not really remarkable, I guess, as far as casinos go. Like, it's fine and all that, but I bought in at this $10 craps table for $120. I think I got there around 8 o'clock, and I lost everything, but it took me until like 1 a.m. to do it. It was so much fun. I'm very thankful that you guys talk so much about craps and really piqued my interest. It was just really great. And it's pretty funny. I discovered that I'm a lot like Mark at the table. And at one point, this dude sitting next to me who had to tell me several times, hey man, calm down, relax. What are you so jittery for? Apparently I can't keep still either. But yeah, craps is an amazing time. I can't wait to go back. So hey, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I love the show, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy.
I love Brad's attitude because he said he lost it all. He lost his buy-in, but he played for 5 hours and had a blast. I mean, that's great because, hey, craps, negative EV game. We all know it. Have a good time.
Right? Every once in a while you win.
Every once in a while you win,
It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
So.
That's great. All right, let's hear from Will. Now, Will actually called twice. But there were some times where the audio dropped out, and it was kind of what I did. I ended up combining them and kind of editing it down. So you'll hear some of the audio drops out, and then suddenly he'll change subjects kind of drastically. But anyway, here's what I could get from Will's calls. Here you go.
Hey guys, Will from Chicago. Love your show. Haven't called in yet. I just want to give you a little trip report. Coming back from Horseshoe in Hammond, Indiana right now. I'm primarily a poker player. But I played about 5-hour sessions today and lost 200. Decided to stick $2 on craps on the way out the door. Just wanted to say for a few shooters. First shooter rolls for 45 minutes, hits the all-tall twice, hits 5 numbers to the fire bet, which I wasn't betting on, but it was the first time I've seen anyone hit the fire at all. Second shooter, now that I'm up a bit, I'm playing a bit like Dr. Mike. It's back-to-back hard sixes, which I had parlayed, so I turned a $5 bet into $4.50 there. Next two shooters, nothing to write home about, but after about an hour, I'm leaving. I turned 500 into 1975 on the craps table. It always feels like it's supposed to work the other way when I lose at poker and win at craps, but I'm not complaining. Good night. You guys got to get out to Hammond soon, just 30 minutes from downtown Chicago. 100 times odds on the craps tables. Great crews. Knowledgeable, friendly, and fast. I would love to meet up with you guys here. And I had a couple things happen to me. I bet you guys have, but I wanted to ask, see what you've seen, if you've seen anything similar. First thing that happened when I got there, I 7 out. But it's one of those, very borderline, close to a 7, close to another number, right on the edge of the die. I didn't blame the boxman for calling 7 quickly. It was a close one, but it was probably a 7. But then right when the dealer goes to pick it up, not too long after the roll stops, before he touches any die, it falls and becomes a 6 instead of a 7. Of course, I thought that would make it a 6. The toll table was saying 6, 6. Boxman said no, 7 out. Even the dealer was saying, but I never touched it. It became a 6. But he was saying, no, 7 out. I called it. It's over. Maybe that's just a rule. When it calls it, it's done. I don't know. But I was surprised that was what they called. I was wondering if you've seen anything similar. Next thing that happened, I'm sure is more common. Saw a guy try to pass post $100. I didn't even realize it was happening. It was right next to me. He promptly got kicked out. He'd been getting away with a couple hard weights. I noticed those, but I missed the entire 100 pass line bet that he tried to stick down to my roll. So reviewed the tape. Was surprised. He just stayed at the table. He probably knew he was going to get busted. They came and they just escorted him right out. I wonder if you've seen anything like either of those two stories. But have a good one, guys, and I'll call back later. Bye.
So pass posting, again, is when you add to your bet or you make a bet on a winning proposition that's already been established. Kind of the opposite of what Oakley was doing, right?
Right, pulling your money back. You add to it.
And craps is one of the easier games to do it on because there's so much going on. It's like, he made his point. Okay, suddenly the guy has a pass line bet out there.
Yeah, or has a higher pass line.
Or adds to it. I don't know that I've actually seen it. I'm also surprised that once the guy was caught, he didn't just take off.
Yeah.
If he realizes that he's got some scrutiny. I mean, as soon as they come to take him away, hey, it's 6 years in prison. Like,
right. He probably gave him his player's card. Like, damn,
what did I do? What was
such
I
a bad
thinking?
criminal.
I knew I was going to cheat, and yet I gave my card. Oh, I wanted those comps. Okay, as far as that thing with the one die, flipping down, that's just a bad decision on the boxman's part.
And
that's really,
decision.
it's just terrible.
There was one instance on my trip this last weekend where I wasn't paying attention, so I couldn't say anything.
All right.
Honestly, I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to my dad or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the dice were rolled, and people next to me, the dice were going the other way, thought that it was a 6, and the dealer called 7 out.
Okay.
But he scooped him so quick.
Yeah.
He's like, he had the stick on him as they're stopping, right? At 7 out. And they said, no, that was a 6. And a big argument ensued. I couldn't, they kept asking me. I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't even watching. I have no idea. It probably was a 7, because sometimes from the other side of the table, the 5 looks like a 4. It's hard to tell 4-2, 5-2.
Yeah.
But they should just be slower about it. Just let the dice sit there for a few seconds.
Yeah. Be a little bit slower about it. And, kind of getting back to Will's story too. Geez, if it flips over and it's a 6, just say, okay, it's a 6.
Right.
It's just good customer service. Right. You're going to get the money back.
You're going to get the money anyway. So what?
Talking about flipping the dice real quick so you couldn't see exactly what happened. Tell your story about what happened when we were out at Harrah's and there was a new guy who flipped the cards and then picked them up real quick.
Right. We're out at Harrah's and where we play with cards. The shooter rolled the dice, and it was like 4 on the green card, 3 on the red card.
Right. So we're just to remind people, right? We have to play with cards here in California, and the way they do it as Harrah's is you roll these dice, and the dice determine which cards are turned over, and then that's the roll.
Right, and they're color coded. So there's a green die and a red die, and the green die corresponds to the green card and the red die corresponds to the red card.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to turn over 4 green, 3 red. It was a new guy on the stick, just learning the cards, learning the game. He flipped over like 4-4.
Okay.
Instead of 4-3.
Okay.
Now, the problem was the point was 6, and the first card he flipped over on the green card was a 3.
He turned it over and it was a 3. Okay.
Right. So everyone immediately in their heads thinking, hard 6, and there was a ton of money on hard 6. So he turned over the other card. Instead of the 3 card, he turned over the 4 card, and it was a 1.
Yeah.
So it came out to a 4, which doesn't really hurt anybody, but it's not the hard 6 that it could have been.
Right.
But he grabbed the card so fast and put him in his hands, and then the stick man said, "Oh no, it's 4-3. You turned over the wrong cards." But he'd already put the cards together.
Yeah.
And there's no way to put them back. They might have got shuffled.
They were all there.
Yeah. But it was an instance of, what's the big hurry?
Yeah, right. He would,
Because usually what happens in that case when they flip over the wrong card, the person flipping it, the stick man will correct them and say, "No, I said 4-3," and they'll turn the one they flipped back over, and they'll turn over the right card,
the correct one,
and then that's the roll. And sometimes that hurts you, sometimes it helps you.
Sure, right. But in this case, it was. So what did they decide then?
They just decided it was no roll.
No roll.
Yeah, it was
so
no roll.
So they said no roll at all. Wasn't a 4, wasn't
because
anything.
Because the stick man said, "No, you flipped the wrong card."
And there was no way to recover.
And there's no way to recover. So he just says no roll, and they rolled again. And unfortunately, when they rolled the next, usually it's like, "Oh, great."
Yeah, right. Okay.
But he rolled again, and it was like a 9, and nobody was hurt. We went on with the game.
Yeah.
But it aggravates me.
There's no reason to do it that quickly.
There's no reason to do it that quickly. I mean, it's a slow game out there with cards anyway. 1 second's not going to matter. And the same in Vegas. Grabbing the die real quick. Do we have to go that fast?
Yeah, you don't. Let everybody have a chance to see it.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
right. And then there's no arguments. There's no
especially if it's a 7 out.
Right.
If
especially
if it's a 7 out, leave it there so that everybody can see it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes they grab them, and they slide them so quick, and the dice roll over. And then there's a controversy. No, I saw him come back. It was a 4.
Yeah.
Well, no, because they flipped when the guy grabbed
him. Yeah. All right. Let's hear from our friend Melanie.
Hello, Mark. Hello, Dr. Mike. This is Melanie calling you from Colorado, and I am from Colorado. So I went up to Blackhawk today on my way home from another non-Las Vegas trip and had a great time. Kind of checked out a whole bunch of tables since I had extra time that I don't normally have. The Lodge was really fun. It's a place in Blackhawk, and it's just called The Lodge. It's across the street from Ameristar, and that's kind of the crown jewel of Blackhawk and the whole casino, small town situation. They have a $100 limit, as you know. They're meant to restore these old towns. It used to be an old mining town, very successful, considered the richest mile in the world. Anyway, so some of these are left in old buildings, saloons, swinging doors. I went to, I think it was called Wild Horse or something like that. It was a lot like Stage Door. It's the only smoking casino in Colorado. Oh, that's the other thing. No smoking in Colorado casinos, which I love, but it's going to be a big problem for a lot of gamblers, I realize. However, we're under stage 2 fire restrictions right now, so you can't smoke outside. You can't smoke in your car. You really can't smoke in a hotel room. Yeah, so it's interesting for tourists. Most of these places didn't have a craps table. I went to a place called the Z Casino, not to be confused with Grand Z or Johnny Z's. Johnny Z's and Grand Z are up in Central City, a mile up the hill from Blackhawk. Blackhawk, that is. And the Z Casino's doesn't have craps, or at least it didn't when I was there. I think they have it on the weekends. A lot of these places are very weekend-oriented. Anyway, they did have pop craps, pop-up craps, bubble craps. It was called organic craps, and it wasn't nearly as enthusiastic as bubble craps. And it didn't have button, push the button. It just did it automatically, but it was really fun, and it was mesmerizing. I stayed a lot longer than I thought I would. Ended up winning a little bit, just had a blast. It was crazy because you could bet pretty much any denomination over $1, or basically $1. So I placed the 6 for $1 and win $1.16. Loved it. The vibe there is great at the Z Casino. It's just up the street from the Ameristar and the Lodge. So check that out if anyone wants to go walk around. At the Lodge Casino, I did walk around a little bit around the blackjack. It all pays 3 to 2, but they were $15 minimums on a Monday at a pretty mid-level at best casino. Went up to Central City. They have a $3 craps table. However, it doesn't open until the afternoon. I did go back up. It was open, and I didn't check out the odds. I've been there before. I want to see it's 10 times odds. But apparently you can't go over the $100 limit anyway, so I'm not sure it matters all that much. What else can I tell you guys? I would definitely check out casinos in Colorado if you're going to head to the mountains from Denver anyway, because they're west. They're actually northwest of Denver. Like I said, from Denver proper, half hour, but they're only 10 minutes off the interstate. It's just kind of a windy road. But if anybody is here anyway, do it. I don't know if it would be a destination. The only caveat is there's nothing else to do. There's no movie theater. There's no bowling. There's a historical society, so there's tours of the graveyard. There's actually an old opera house, and they have opera season right now, which is great. But if you have a non-gambler, it's really tough. There's not anything for them to do. I think that's it. Love your show, guys. Can't wait to hear it. And Dr. Mike, that was a real highlight of my trip when I got to play craps with UTI. And I do think we came back a little bit because I think I hit like 3 or 4 points. Oh, and today they have the all tall, all small, hit 'em all at the lodge. I came within 1 number. I just needed a 3. Couldn't get it, 7'd out, and then the guy 3 rolls after me just needed a 2, and he didn't get it. So anyway, thought of you guys for sure. Always have a great time rolling with you guys at the tables and listening to your podcast in between sessions. Have a good day. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Melanie. A lot of good info.
I thought for sure that Melanie's call was going to start with, I put $20 in the machine and hit a royal on the second push. I thought for sure that's what she was going to say.
Click.
I
then
kept
she just
waiting.
hangs up.
I kept waiting for that. I said, she's going to tell us about another royal.
Yeah, I'd love to go to some of those Colorado casinos, but like she said, it's not really a destination. But if you happen to be there,
right,
then go and see them. So that'll probably be the case with us.
So you can buy pot legally in Colorado, right? But you can't smoke it anywhere?
I guess not. Because the stage 2, fire restrictions. That's right. Well,
you got to buy edibles.
See, that's the thing. You got to buy edibles. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Right.
You can eat all the pot you want. You just can't smoke it because we got fire problems.
All right, last call.
Hi, my name is Dan Short. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I am in Las Vegas as we speak. I was just at the new Park MGM Casino where I played open face Pai Gow. There's some interesting side bets, one of which is a ace-high Pai Gow pays 5-1. If the dealer has it and it pays 41, if both the dealer and the player has it. There's also the envy, of course, and it was a very interesting game. Anyway, and I love your show, and I haven't called before, but I just thought I'd call to let you know I was there. Talk to you, bye.
And I edited Dan's call down quite a bit because he was talking about some of the mechanics of face-up Pai Gow poker, and I think we've talked about that quite a bit on the show already. Right. But we haven't talked about this side bet. You can make a side bet that the dealer will get an ace-high Pai Gow, which is a push in this game, right, for everybody. You make that side bet before the hand is dealt, and if the dealer ends up with an ace-high without the joker, you get paid 5-1. If the dealer has an ace-high with the joker, you get paid 15-1.
Because it's joker handicap.
It's because it's harder, right? When you have a joker, it fits straights and flushes and stuff, so it is a little bit harder. And if you, as the player and the dealer, both have ace-high, it pays 40-1.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you figured that out, how often that comes up?
Well, I haven't figured out how often it comes up, but I can tell you right now, just going to the Wizard of Odds, almost a 10% house edge.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's got to be a huge house edge.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. So again, Bunfest coming up here real soon, July 21st. Good luck to everybody going there in London with Vegas Bun Boy. That's going to be a lot of fun. Also, Oceans 14, Coast to Coast. A bunch of them are meeting in Atlantic City. A bunch more of them are meeting in Laughlin. That's July 27th through the 29th.
It's too bad it's Laughlin and not Vegas.
I know, because that's where you're going to be.
I'm going to be in Vegas on the 27th and 8th
Make a trip over to Laughlin then.
I don't think so.
All right. I will tweet on your behalf, but this is more of a family vacation for you, right?
It's definitely a family vacation.
Not as much gambling.
Yeah, the gambling's going to be limited to like in the evenings after dinner.
Okay.
The kids go up to the room and stuff. But during the day, we're doing a lot of family things.
Where are you staying?
We're staying at Caesars.
Okay.
Yeah, they got us a nice suite with an adjoining room.
Oh, good. For the girls?
So for the girls.
Oh,
so
good.
that's
Good.
nice.
That is
nice. We
nice,
can lock that door and forget about them.
Yeah. And then this weekend, I'm going to Comic-Con. As usual, got all 5 days, 4 days plus preview night. Nice. I was looking. There's really nothing that I can see that is going to be relevant for the show. But, of course, I always love going to Comic-Con.
Right.
I'm a TV guy, so I'm going to go to all the TV panels.
Well, what I want you to do on the next podcast is to report to me the weirdest thing you saw at Comic-Con.
At Comic-Con, the weirdest thing?
The weirdest thing. That's going to be hard because there's a lot of weird
of weird things. I've got to decide what was the weirdest thing.
What was the weirdest?
All right. I'll see if I can come up with that. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. Hey, we want to thank Brian for his recurring PayPal donation. Thanks very much, Brian. We really do appreciate it. It's just terrific. Be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonthat.com radio.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. What do you got for us, Dr. Mike?
Well, first off, I want to thank you for all the hardway bets you made for me this last week.
Oh, you're welcome, Mike. Thanks very much.
I appreciate that a lot.
You're welcome.
Let me tell you a funny hardway story. I think that people are going to like
all
this. It's not funny. It's just when I was at Planet Hollywood, a guy hit back-to-back-to-back hardways. All three hard sixes.
So
like you did.
Okay, yeah.
Like you did. He hit 3 in a row.
Nice.
The first one I had $10, so I went to 100.
Yeah.
He hit that, and usually I stay at 100, right? But I don't know what possessed me. I went to 150 and 50 for the dealers instead of 200 for me, and he rolled it again.
Oh, nice.
Back to back to back.
Nice.
That was such a sweet hit. And of course, I had pressed my 6. 6 wasn't the point. I had pressed my 6.
But you had a place spec on the 6, so you're winning money there too.
Yeah, when he hit the third one, I had 450 on it. So that paid great. It's just so much fun. And I know it's a bad bet and everything, but boy, when something like that happens, you just feel like
that's why you make those bets, is because you love that feeling.
I love that
hit.
feeling.
Yeah.
You puff your chest out. That's me out there. That's me with the 150.
That's right. Now, I'm going to be at Comic-Con this weekend. Are you going to go to the casino just by yourself? You going to go?
I am, but I'm going to go do like you. I'm going to go up there late Saturday night.
Oh, just get the free play.
Maybe not even Saturday, because I don't know.
I don't think we've got free play. So you're just going to go up Sunday, get a buffet with the family?
Buffet Sunday morning, a little free play, and then come home. No, we're not coming home. I take that back. We're going to go see Ant-Man
and the Wasp. All right. Yeah. We already saw
that's
it. So we'll talk about this after the show.
Thing to Comic-Con.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Mark, that was wonderful. I had no idea you were so talented. The audience is going to love you.